Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is G and this is Mulan, who is my Sunglow, my VPI Sunglow boa constrictor, who is also het for jungle. And today we're going to be talking about reptile myths and misinformation, as I've been coming across a lot of it on Instagram as well as in reptile stores. So I want to go ahead and take the time today to go ahead and correct some of these. Before we go ahead and get started, I do want to show you, let's see if I can get that in there. Okay, I don't know if you can see right here, these scales are actually flipped up and they create a line in her skin. That typically happens when Mulan's going into shed, happens with Aladdin too when he goes into shed. So these are not fat rolls, they're from her scales flipping up. I don't know why that happens when they're going into shed. It's just something that I notice that happens with my boa constrictors a lot, and it creates lines and indentations. So throughout the video you will see lines on Mulan. Don't worry, that's just what she looks like pre-shed. I don't know if you can see it better here, but you can see the scales flipped up. Yeah, that's what I mean. Okay, so first we're going to start with a pretty common and easy one, and then we're going to go ahead and get into some not so common ones, but and some weird ones as well that I've personally never heard of, but apparently they exist. So firstly, what I want to go over is the difference between venomous and poisonous. Of course, poisonous is when you eat it, you die, and if it bites you or it eats you, you're gonna die. Well, if it eats you, you're gonna die either way. But pretty much I'm gonna be focusing on the biting. If you bite it, you die, poisonous. If it bites you, you die, venomous. Seems pretty simple. One of the many reasons why this is important is mostly, I would say, for kids. For adults, it's not gonna be like a huge thing. They understand that even though they're saying poisonous versus venomous, they understand that if it bites you, it's a problem. But with kids and growing up, the reason why this can be kind of a weird distinction, especially kids growing up around reptiles, is because if they read a bottle that says poisonous, they might not really associate it with drinking it and it being harmful. So we do want to make these distinctions, and also just to have proper information and making sure people understand that when you get bit by a snake, that it is harmful to you. Now, as there are poisonous snakes in the world, they are very far and in between. I actually only know of one, and I don't really actually remember the name of that snake, but that's not something you should really be worried about. You should be more concerned about it biting you and doing harm to you. So another myth that I did want to go ahead and talk about is something that I actually heard someone say in a reptile store, an employee, and I won't say the store, of course, and I didn't correct them just because, well, it was a little kid, so it didn't really make too much of a difference. But that is that if it's not venomous, it is a constrictor. That is not true. So I know it seems to be a consensus that if it's not venomous, that it constricts to kill. This is 100% false. Egg-eating snakes, for example, like the African egg-eating snake, is not a constrictor as it eats eggs. So it doesn't constrict to kill its prey because there's no prey to kill. Decay's brown snakes, for example, are also an example of a snake that does not constrict, as they feed on worms and snails and items like that, and they do not constrict their prey to kill it. A more common example would be false water cobras, indigo snakes, as well as crebo. They are also not constrictors, as they will do something that toss a coil around like the animal. It's to pin it down, not to constrict. False water cobras will more often than not simply just eat the prey alive. They don't even bother and waste time. Crebos, and I think I scared her, crebos and indigo snakes, for example, will toss a coil around the prey to pin it down, but they also do something which is really cool, which is that they ram the prey as hard as possible into an object, thereby blunt force, in order to kill or incapacitate its prey. Therefore, all snakes that are not venomous are not all constrictors. So another thing that I do want to go ahead and go over is the myth that turtles and tortoises cannot feel their shells. Now, this seems something that was debunked quite a long time ago and that we don't really associate with truth anymore. However, I need to stop touching her face. She's going to have a heart attack. However, people still do believe that turtles and tortoises cannot feel their shells, my mom being one of them, which found out recently that that is not true. It's actually quite painful for them if you do a lot of different things to their shell, such as bigging on it, and things like that. There are also people that do drill holes in turtles and tortoises shells in order to attach leashes to them. That is extremely painful to your turtle and tortoise and something that you definitely should not do. It is horrible, it is harmful, and they 100% can feel it. So please, please, please do not bang on your tortoises and turtle shell, and also please don't drill holes in it. I don't know why you would do that to a living thing. So another one that is also commonly debunked, but still for some reason passed around the reptile community, is that reptiles only grow to the size of their enclosure. This is of course not true. If that was the case, snakes would be and lizards would be enormous since they live in the wild. They would be insane if they just grew to the size of their environment. So that's 100% not true. They will continue to grow. They will outgrow their enclosures. That's not going to stop them. I don't know where this myth started from. I didn't do the background on that, but let's just go ahead and toss it out and let's stop believing that that is something that is true. If I put Mulan in an enclosure in a 20-gallon for 3 years, she'll be the size of the 20-gallon, sure, but she's really not just 3 feet long. She'd be like 7 feet long. So this is something that people do still talk about, but not as much as they used to, and that is that reptiles give salmonella. So while this is not necessarily a myth, it's not necessarily really true either. The odds of you getting salmonella from your reptile is very unlikely. That would come from very untidy enclosures, picking up their poop and not washing your hands and eating, which is gross, and doing plenty of other things like that that would probably make you sick in a lot of other ways besides salmonella. The odds of you getting salmonella from your reptile is very, 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 very unlikely. And so you do not want to just associate them with salmonella. There are plenty of other pets that give diseases. Cats, dogs, parrots, and all sorts of other animals also give humans diseases as well. So it's not just reptiles, there's always a hazard when it comes to pets. It's just about being clean and tidy and not touching your face and your mouth after doing something with their feces. So a huge, huge, huge common myth that I hear every single day, Reptilosaurus, Phoenix Herpetological Society, no matter where I am, is that snakes chase people. Snakes do not chase people. This will not chase you if it sees you. I mean, she wouldn't anyway because she's like a baby, but snakes don't do that. Snakes are defensive creatures. They're not aggressive creatures. They do not go out of their way to cause harm to anyone or anything, and they only go out of their way to cause harm when they feel threatened. That's super important to remember. People will often report, oh, a snake chased me down. No. If a snake happens to be behind you, it's most likely just trying to get away. You're just in the way. I don't know why people think this, but snakes, they're not like dogs. You know, where a dog, if it's aggressive or mean or upset, it's gonna chase you down. Dogs attack unprovoked, cats attack unprovoked as well. That is a sign of aggression. Snakes only act when acted upon. And of course, we have a super common one here, and that is that snakes are deaf. Now, while snakes do not have ears on the outside, snakes are not deaf. They have internal ears. This has been talked about probably 1,001 times all over the place, but people do honestly still believe that snakes cannot hear. Now, their hearing is not very good, it's not very precise, and they don't use it for very much, but they can definitely hear. If you're loud enough, they can hear you. They're hard of hearing. Like old ladies and old men, you know, they're hard of hearing, but they're not deaf. So when I was growing up, one of the biggest things that we always heard was that snakes dislocate their jaws in order to feed. So this is also a myth as well, of course, as snakes do not dislocate their jaws to feed. Their jaws are not locked together like ours with bone. Their jaws are connected with a ligament. So when they eat, the ligament allows their jaws to stretch and they're able to feed properly. So there's no dislocation involved. They're not popping their jaws out of their sockets or anything like that. That'd be pretty cool, but definitely not true. It's just they have a very stretchy ligament that connects to their jaw and allows them to stretch their mouth out to ways that we possibly can't imagine. So this next one is dear to my heart as I do have a legless lizard, and one of the biggest common differences that people do when they're differentiating between lizards and snakes is that one has legs and one does not. This is not a way to tell snakes from lizards, as there are plenty of lizards that do not have legs or are nearly legless. For example, I have a legless lizard named Mushu. He obviously does not have legs, but he is not a snake, he is a lizard. He has external ears on the outside and not on the inside. He also has eyelids. Those are two ways to tell snakes from lizards, as snakes have internal ears. And snakes also do not have eyelids, they do not blink. So that's a good way to tell snakes from lizards, but having legs and not having legs is super unreliable, as again, there are plenty of lizards that are nearly legless or don't have legs at all. And just to toss in a weird little myth here, apparently there's a myth that goes around that says if you leave a bowl of milk out, a snake will drink it. I don't know where that started from. Maybe from milk snakes, because farmers used to think that milk snakes used to drink the milk of their cows because they were often farmed or in their barns. But that's not true. Snakes don't drink milk for any reason at all. I don't know. I'm assuming it's a milk snake thing that kind of triggered that, but no. If you leave a bowl of milk out, it will not deter snakes, which is a myth that I saw, and the snake won't drink it. Snakes eat whole prey items, unless it's eggs, so don't put out milk thinking it's going to attract or make a snake go away. That doesn't work. Alright, so hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, just going over some typical myths that we do here in the reptile community. Hopefully, if you believe any of these, hopefully you learned something and learned that these are not true. Don't pay attention to any of those. They are 100% false, or at least mostly false. And then of course, if you did enjoy today's video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And then you can also follow me on Instagram as well at Reptile Trainer G. And then of course, we'll see you guys in the next one.